nail down. I'm Jason Gilbo, JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at the 8:15 games and later, the late slates on both FanDuel and DraftKings as far as pitching goes. Pretty obvious night. I mean, there's really only about three guys that you're really kind of keyed in on.
Yeah, and we were discussing sort of potential cash options on DraftKings, and I mean, the options are limited. It's a weird combination of you're not necessarily excited to put in these strong pitching options because it kind of leaves you out in the cold in terms of some of your positional roster construction. But yeah, definitely going to be interesting. We're going to be salivating towards lock at any sort of min punt plays and scratches that open up some value. But it should be interesting, and there should obviously be some strong pitching on the slate.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you're looking at playing cash games Sunday, I think you do that majority on FanDuel just because it's one pitcher and it's not leaving you completely cash strapped. Because if you do want to get some bats on DraftKings, you're going to have to go outside those big three tonight, and I think that's going to be hard to do. So I do think you kind of maybe if you want to play GPPs on DK, you can do that. But I think FanDuel is kind of easier with the one pitcher format here.
Definitely, yeah. A few ways to go, but a few.
Yeah.
Not many, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And look at the first game here. You have Tigers and Royals. Matt Boyd versus Edson Volquez. Over under of 8.5. Kansas City minus 138. This game is not on my radar for FanDuel, but I think DraftKings. I mean, Edson Volquez.
Mm-hmm.
If you're dropping outside of those Lester, Matz, Scherzer guys, it's in GPPs, and I think Volquez at 7,100. The pitch well against Detroit earlier this season. I mean, Detroit, obviously a top offense. They do have a nice, strikeout rate right around 23% against righties, though. But still, I mean, they're a dangerous offense. I think you just got to hope Volquez, remains in that good form at home, where he's been good all year, and kind of carries it in at that price tag.
Yeah, again, FanDuel, you don't really need to worry about it as much. But Volquez, he should be getting some nice run support here as well because this Royals offense is really starting to turn it on the last week or two. And Boyd obviously isn't the strongest of arms. So I think a win, he's got a pretty good chance at a win here. Not a great matchup, obviously. But again, we're more talking about tournaments, correct? I don't really feel comfortable throwing him in cash, unfortunately, but fair option for tournaments, especially if you want to open something up and get an expensive stack.
Yeah, I mean, 2.06 ERA at home. He's averaging nearly 20 DK points there. And I think you're kind of hoping, I mean, 7,100 is not a bad price tag for him. So even if he does get just 15 points, the salary relief to open up and kind of get some bats from the Cubs and kind of get some other expensive bats in there, you kind of get up to that next tier with him as your SP2. So I think that's kind of the guy who I'm really only considering out of that range below.
Yeah, I definitely agree there.
So moving on to the next one here, you have the Pirates and Cubs, John Neese versus John Lester. No Vegas info out yet, but you got to expect the Cubs to be heavy favorites. Lester has been money against Pittsburgh this season. He's $1,000 cheaper than Scherzer on DraftKings. It's a very tough fade to fade Scherzer, but if you're looking at cash games, I think Lester and Matz is kind of my duo just to save that extra 1,000 for hitters.
I agree. That is a tough fade. We'll talk about it in a sec, but man, it's going to be tough to fade Scherzer tonight against the Pods. That is just 10 strikeouts begging to happen. I mean, it's going to be really hard for the Padres to not strike out 10 times tonight. But beyond that, I do agree, Lester. Good matchup against the Pirates. And, I mean, in terms of this year, he's done well. And, obviously, you expect the Cubs to be big favorites and a really good chance at a win. So, I mean, he's got super high upside and could potentially match him, in that 30 to 35 range in terms of DraftKings points, and obviously more than that on FanDuel. So, obviously cash consideration for him. And John Neese, just nah wave. It's going
Yeah.
to be tough to necessarily get Cubs in, but you're still not touching Nice.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And you're looking at the Pirates. I mean, yes, they have some right-handed bats in there, but I mean, they have a 24.6% strikeout rate against lefties this season. And I mean, if you're going GPPs, I think Scherzer and you plug down to like a Volquez is the option. But in cash games, I mean, if you plug in a Scherzer and Mats, I mean, you got 3,100 left over. You can bump that down just a little bit if you plug in Lester. FanDuel, it's an easy call. It's just kind of Scherzer all the way, just because he's only $100 more.
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah, pretty straightforward there.
yeah. Look at the next one here. You got the Braves and Mets. Steven Matz and Aaron Blair. And over under of 8, Mets minus 265 favorites here, a monster favorites. And you look at the Braves, I mean, they kind of scored some runs here of late and kind of been, both them and the Padres have been kind of getting a little offensive groove going, but there's still ones to target against.
Frisky. And that makes it a little intriguing, but again, once you start to like really hash it out and look at since 2015 and even earlier this year, they're just still such a target, even with this resurgence. So gotta love Mats. Lefties against the Braves is just totally neutralizes any upside. Obviously, Freddie Freeman's been taking advantage of a lot of lefty-righty matchups lately. So beyond that, it's a really weak lineup. So yeah, I expect Mats to really do well tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he showed that upside, earlier this season against the Braves. I mean, he's faced them twice. He's picked up 2 wins in that span, 14 innings, 16 strikeouts over that span as well. Yeah. So that's the big thing. I mean, the Braves have been known for not really striking out a ton against right-handers, but lefties, it's a different story, nearly 23%.
Yeah. So I think that's a great matchup for him. And again, he's in that island by himself in terms of pricing tonight on DK, and he's really the one guy that you can feel comfortable kind of throwing in there at his price.
Yeah, and I think on FanDuel, I mean, the price tag isn't really that huge of a difference from Scherzer. I mean, you're looking at Scherzer 11.5, Matt's 10.1. You're going to get a couple hundred more for hitters, but I don't think it's that big of a difference. I mean, it's so hard to just – you put the blinders on. I don't even want to play anyone else but Scherzer on FanDuel at that price.
Right. The 1,400 isn't going to get you – I mean, maybe you can get the Hulk or something, and that'll make me feel better. But, like, there's not one hitter that's even a high-priced guy that makes me feel like I have a higher floor than just playing Scherzer,
Yeah, definitely. And I just look at that matchup. I look at that price tag. It's just such a hard fade. And really, I mean, on FanDuel, outside of Mats, Lester, and Scherzer, I'm not really taking anyone else.
Right.
At all.
Agreed.
Zero. Zippo.
Yeah, I just don't see any need. It just would be forced at this point,
Yeah, definitely. Looking at the Brewers and Dodgers here, and Dodgers heavier favorites here, minus 160. Chase Anderson versus Mike Bolsinger, and you're looking at this game, over under of 8 out there in Dodger Stadium. You look at this Brewers team, middle of the league in right-handed pitching, 26% strikeout rate. You were joking around because I had a Bolsinger moment where if he can get me 15 points, 20 points, I mean, it's possible. I mean, we've seen it this season. I mean, he did it against the Cubs, and he didn't even pick up a point there. And you look, I mean, 5 strikeouts, 6 before that, 6 before that. If he can stay in that range as far as GPPs go and get you that 15 to 20 points, hey, I'll take it and pair him up with a Scherzer and get some couple bats in.
No, it was weird because, like, as soon as I looked at the slate, I was like, oh, I know he's going to say Bolsinger. But I do like that play, especially for the price. He's one of those guys where if you want to fit a Cubs stack in, or you want to get Harper Murphy in, or you want to go with the high-priced Mets, that's really the way to do it. So I'm looking at him. I think he's a nice tournament swerve, but obviously cash, it's still going to be tough on DK. And FanDuel obviously not in play. There's another guy here, Chase Anderson, the happiest guy in the MLB. Now, that started out as a joke, and then he started throwing out quality starts here. Do I think he's a great pitcher? No. But at the Dodger Stadium, I don't necessarily think, other than Corey Seager, this lineup is really all that strong. I think he has a chance to sort of get through this. I don't think he's going to get 25 or 30 DK points or anything like that. But again, like Bolsinger, it's more expensive, but I actually think he's a safer bet for like 15 points.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Dodgers. I mean, they rank 25th in WOBA against righties. They still don't strike out a ton. My biggest gripe between the two of them is that pricing, because I do think
that's a lot.
Their range tonight is fairly similar, and I think kind of taking that discount down. I don't think paying up from Bolsinger to Anderson really makes a huge difference for me as far as points come the end of the night, and I think I'll save that extra cash just to use for some hitters there.
Right. Yeah. And I agree in terms of pricing, because that 1,600 is enormous on this slate.
Yeah. Look at the next one, and this is easily the top dog in the night here. Max Scherzer, over under 7. Washington minus 217. And you're looking at Scherzer. I mean, strikeout-wise on the slate, I think he's potential to be the highest, and very well should be the highest scoring pitcher come the end of the night.
Oh, man. I'm praying for Yanger Solarte tonight. It could be a rough one for him. I mean, obviously, Will Myers is doing well, but I don't see much. I don't see them getting much traction tonight. It's going to be a rough one for them. So, in terms of cash, Scherzer's the guy. Definitely on FanDuel. It's tough on DK, but again,
he's your top guy.
Yeah, he's just the top guy. It's not even particularly close. So the matchup's perfect. Everything's perfect tonight. If he gets shelled, then I just don't know what to believe anymore.
You look at him, I mean, 2 of his last 3 starts, I mean, he's been above 35 DK points. I think that's actually a reasonable way to go. And I think you're going to have to pay up for pitchers because they are going to be the highest scoring on the slate in cash games as far as DK goes. And even swerving off FanDuel and going to a lesser match just doesn't seem to make much sense for me, because the pricing is not that different. And I just think you look at Scherzer, I mean, he has easily that 60-point upside there on FanDuel. I mean, maybe even higher on tonight's matchup.
And what's scary is I watched that Cubs game, at least the first few innings, and I mean, he kind of got a little tired later in the game, but he was crushing them. I mean, Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, like Ben Zobrist, these guys are studs, and they just had no chance at all. So I'm worried for the Padres' health tonight.
It's going to get ugly. that game. I haven't tuned into too many Padres games, but I might have that one on in the background just
to see like how many 3-pitch strikeout how many 3-pitch strikeouts he can get will be very interesting.
I mean, double-digit strikeouts tonight. I mean, I think that's the odds should be heavily favored for Scherzer to get that. Yeah, it's asking a lot, but I think it is possible.
I'd set the over/under at 9.5. Honestly.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. I'm going to go look on Bovada and see what that is later on today, because I know it's going to be up there.
Right.
So that's going to wrap things up here with the pitcher nail down. Be sure to check out WFantasyCafe.com for all our great tools and content.